For the past few years, the manga industry have seen a massive boom in terms of global popularity. I remember back in the early to mid 2000s, if people learned that you consume anything that is anime or manga related, you'll be subjected to its early stereotypes of being called a nerd, a weeaboo, or even a loser with no social life.
Get your feet off the table, dude.
No, I'm aura farming.
But now, that topic itself creates one of the biggest discussion threads and communities online. And honestly, it's well deserved. The manga industry have produced countless titles and animations that have perfectly encapsulate the sheer creativity of the human imagination throughout the years. However, on the latter side, there is a certain genre that has been seeing a steady decline for quite some time now, which is the Western comics. Now don't get me wrong, they're still universally known, but compared to how anime is doing right now, their entertainment value has been greatly overshadowed. And in this video, we'll be talking about the reasons on how this happened and what are the differences between these two medias that currently defines their popularity and stagnation. First off is its structure. Most mangas are what you call complete journeys. It follows a linear structure wherein they begin, progress, and an end. And it's quite easy to follow, making it one of its defining charms. Take Attack on Titan as an example. It starts with a 10-year-old Eren Yeager watching his mother die from a Titan invasion. Its plot would progress until it ultimately ends with him dying as a 19-year-old mass murderer. As you can see, despite of its depth as a story, it follows a straightforward timeline. It also didn't leave any loose ends. Its creator, Hajime Isayama, gave the surviving characters their respective conclusions as they closed the story. This kind of clear structure makes it easy to follow, and more importantly, easy to start. And it's not just limited on Attack on Titan. You can also see this kind of format in Code Geass, Death Note, Your Lie in April, Erased, and so much more. They all tell a complete story. Now compare that to Western comics. Take Batman as an example. There isn't just one Batman. There are like hundreds of them, from different timelines, alternate universes, reboots, reinterpretations, and not to mention their TV exclusives as well. From an outside perspective, you can't help but to think, where the fuck do you even start? Are all these Batmans even interconnected to begin with? And what's worse is you ask yourself, does it ever end? Going back to Attack on Titan, the series debuted in 2009 and ended in 2021. This gives it a 12-year run overall from start to finish. Batman, on the other hand, debuted in 1939 and is still ongoing to this day. That's 90 years worth of materials. That is massive. Comparing that to One Piece, which is one of the longest running manga ever, and even that feels more approachable because it's still one continuous story. Imagine being chronologically longer than One Piece. That's crazy, you know? So as a consumer, you're faced with a dilemma. Do you invest in a franchise that has no clear starting point, has no real ending, and constantly demands your time and money? Or instead, you go pick up something else that offers a clear journey, a defined conclusion, and an easy entry into its community? The answer should be pretty obvious. Another key difference between the two is what the story revolves around. Western comics are what you call character-driven, meaning most of them revolve around a certain person. Like take for example, Superman, Iron Man, Captain America, or even a group of people like the Justice League, Avengers, or the Teen Titans. These people are the brand, and the fact that their series are named after them is the most obvious proof of that, which in a marketing perspective sounds great, but then you'll realize it has its limitations. The story cannot exist without them. I mean, you can't run a series of Superman comics without Superman himself, can you? Manga, on the other hand, often leans more into world building. The story doesn't just belong to the main character, it belongs to the world itself. Take One Piece as an example. There are instances wherein Luffy barely appeared, like when the Straw Hats crew got separated from Shabodi Island to focus on their time skip training, and most recently in Elbaf arc when Luffy disappeared for 18 chapters, which was equivalent to 6 months in real life. But despite of Luffy's fragmented and little to no presence, the story continues to expand through history, his crew, world politics, and conflicts beyond his control. The One Piece universe moves with or without Luffy. He is just simply a catalyst for the plot. Another example is One Punch Man. Its author Yusuke Murata intentionally wrote his main character Saitama to be overpowered, comical, and always arrive late during major conflicts. This causes the spotlight to shift. The other heroes around him are what become the driving force for the majority of the story. Their powers, struggles, and their point of views are what becomes the focus, until Saitama finally decides to show up. This creates something powerful. A story where the other heroes around Saitama were given depth, the villains on the story feel relatable, and most importantly, the world is moving and alive. Meanwhile, comics often thrive onto one core idea. The character must always remain at the center. It's great for the branding, as I said, but it limits your growth as a piece of literature. And in the long run, the better piece of literature is the one that would always outgrow the latter in terms of fan base, discussions, and most importantly, depth, which is the one that gives it value the most. And that's where manga formulated themselves to be great at. Another major factor is genre. Manga is easily one of the most diverse pieces of media out there. Although it started gaining global traction through shonen, it expanded over time into almost every genre imaginable. You've got romance, sci-fi, horror, sports, and then it even got niches like cooking, rock climbing, racing, idol culture, gambling, and fishing. Yeah, you heard that right. Even fishing. In a nutshell, there's literally something for everyone, and that's important because it naturally expanded its audience over time. However, compared to Western comics, its mainstream identity became heavily tied to superheroes, whether may it be DC or Marvel. But hold on though. I'm not saying there aren't any other genres of comics out there, it's just you'll have to go out of your way in order to find them, because they're not nearly as mainstream compared to superhero comics. And that's what creates the gap, because when your most recognizable stories are centered around action, power fantasies, superheroes, let's be for fucking real, it appeals mostly to a bunch of kids and nerds like myself. Meanwhile, manga these days doesn't rely anymore on a single identity. It thrives now on versatility. It invites all sorts of people, from kids, teenagers, adults, and even people with the most random interests imaginable. And that's its major difference. Comics brand was built and popularized around a single genre, while manga, albeit started the same, expanded over time and gave something for everybody to enjoy. Anyway, those are my quick thoughts for this video. If you think I missed out some points, leave a comment down below and let me know. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you could support my channel. Thanks for watching and keep living out there.